now. Democratic Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi from Illinois. Congressman, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
We've got a lot to cover with. I want to start first with Matt Gaetz and this House Ethics report. And you have tweeted that the House Ethics Committee needs to release that report on Matt Gaetz in order for the Senate to have a complete picture of who they are voting to confirm. We know that Speaker Mike Johnson, after saying he didn't think speakers of the House should be involved with anything that happens out of ethics, then turned around and said, actually, he's requesting that the report not be released. Do you think this report gets out one way or another?
Yes, I think somehow it's going to get out. Certainly, senators want it. We saw what John Cornyn said in the last couple of days. And as that old saying from Martin Luther King Jr. goes, there's nothing more dangerous than sincere ignorance or conscientious stupidity. And to not have access to this report is ignorance. And to confirm Matt Gaetz with all these implications of serious criminal wrongdoing is the height of stupidity.
And I just want to ask you, just in terms of, because I have other nominees that I want to ask you about, just broadly, though. The American people did vote for Donald Trump, and he was pretty open about what he wanted to do, who he would want to nominate. And Tulsi Gabbard was with him. R.F. Kennedy Jr. was with him on the trail, as Steve was just reminding us. So what do you say to that? Because the American people did vote for him, and he was pretty open about what he wanted to do with the government.
Sure, but I don't think they wanted Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General. Someone who's implicated in such serious law breaking, being the top law enforcement official. I just don't think that's what they wanted. Now, did they want Donald Trump to be president? Yes. However, the Senate, for instance, has an advice and consent role under the Constitution that it must perform. And so that's one of those checks that's on the president, and that must be observed in this case. And
so, okay, now I want to ask you about Tulsi Gabbard, because you're also a member of the House Intelligence Committee. There's been a lot of concern about who she has really sided with in terms of American adversaries, some of the Russian talking points that she's promoted and put out there. What do you think about that choice, and how serious do you think those concerns are?
I think they're pretty serious. I think they raise the questions with regard to, why she is being retained or nominated in this particular position. Regardless, they raise so many questions that she should not have been nominated, and certainly she shouldn't be confirmed. The only people who'd be cheering this on are our adversaries.
And how, what do you think in terms of the background checks? Because the Trump transition team has said they want to skip these routine FBI background checks for some of the cabinet picks, including Tulsi Gabbard, including Matt Gaetz.
That tells you all you need to know, Jessica. Yeah. I mean, first of all, a lot of these picks aren't qualified, but then they're seriously flawed. And the fact that they're kind of putting their head in the sand to avoid the FBI background checks to reveal those flaws tells you all you need to know about whether these people should be confirmed for the positions for which they've been nominated.
And Trump is also considering Kash Patel to lead the FBI, and sources tell CNN that Trump allies are urging him to fire the current director, Chris Wray, replace him with Patel. He has a history of spreading conspiracy theories and railing against the so-called deep state. I just want to play a clip. This is from Steve Bannon's podcast. Let's listen to this.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice.
Joe Biden didn't rig any elections. We know that. But, Congressman, what does that look like? And if he were to be the head of the FBI? Just in a sobering way, not with anyone's hair on fire, but just to really consider it, like, what might that look like?
Well, it looks like a purge, a potential purge. We know that as part of Project 2025, there was a study of how to remove, basically not just political appointees from positions in the government, but also civil servants. And so for someone like Kash Patel to make those comments, it leads me to believe that they're going to go in and remove people who are not loyal to Donald Trump. In other words, the only criterion, it appears, that would merit you staying within the government under a Trump administration is whether you pledge complete loyalty to Donald Trump. Of course, the American people want these people to pledge their loyalty to them and America.
I also want to ask you, as someone who is the ranking member on the Select Committee, the House Select Committee on China, we have been following President Biden, who is in Peru for that APEC summit. He just met with China's president. And so we see, we've been tracking that they're really trying to capstone that relationship as, of course, China looks to incoming President-elect Trump. What do you make of the relationship between these two countries right now, with Trump now returning to the White House and promising these really hefty tariffs on China?
Well, I'm concerned about the kind of economic, technological, and military aggression that's being practiced by the Chinese Communist Party. All that being said, I think the Biden administration has taken some very important steps to counter that aggression. I do think that the Trump administration is going to continue with a lot of those policies. But what I'm most concerned about is a very important element of the Biden administration's policies is bringing together our partners, friends, and allies to counter that aggression together. And my concern is that Donald Trump is going to do things that could disrupt those partnerships and make it harder to counter the aggression. Indeed, it might just invite more of that aggression, and that's a big concern.
It is, but it is interesting, though, because that committee and kind of just the attitude toward China is one of the few things we saw bipartisan agreement on in the House, just wanting to make sure that is properly dealt with. And a lot of people, Republicans and Democrats, wanted to serve on that committee. Trump putting in a number of China hawks, or at least nominating them to some of his, Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. What do you think about how all of that fits together?
I think that Marco Rubio or Mike Waltz, my committee colleague on the Intelligence Committee, or even John Ratcliffe, with whom I served in Congress, are serious and credible nominees. And I think they will do their level best to keep continuity where necessary and make changes where they feel it's necessary in light of new developments. But all that being said, we have to approach this relationship in a bipartisan manner, because remember, the Chinese believe that we are hopelessly divided with regard to the question of China, that we can't come together in competing with them. So we have to play against type, Jessica. That means the incoming administration, the Trump administration, has to work with Congress, Democrats and Republicans on our committee in, basically showing the Chinese that we mean business and we're going to counter the CCP in a credible fashion going forward.
All right. Much to come on that. Congressman Krishnamoorthi, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jessica.
And when we